Welcome to Warrior Startup, guys. I'm your investor Sherpa, and on this channel we go over everything from how to build a company out of a napkin sketch to landing that 6 to 7 figure investment from investors such as myself. And in this video, we're going to cover some of the best practices to reach out to investors for your startup. And if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing to get the latest videos on improving your startup. So when you're ready to start talking to investors, one of the most challenging parts can be just that, actually talking to investors. So most venture capitalists and angel investors receive dozens of pitches every day and simply don't have the time to meet with everybody. And to make it more difficult, it's not uncommon for first-time entrepreneurs to need to speak to 50+ investors before even closing a round of funding. So as an entrepreneur, you're going to need to identify dozens of people who could potentially be interested in your company. So let's go over the 5 best ways to reach out to those investors. Number 1, build an AngelList profile. So AngelList is a great way both to learn about investors and then let them learn about you. So creating a profile including specific info about your company, product, and team members makes it really easy for people who are interested in your space to find out about you. And once you've filled out everything, share your profile with your friends and your professional acquaintances to request references. When people follow up with your company, it will show others that who you know, and then hopefully, it'll pique their interest. Back when I was fundraising, I watched for new investors who were in the medical space, and I would basically email them and have a personal note attached to their industry that would lead into mine. Number 2, create a strategic list of investors that you'd like to meet with. So given the odds of any individual meeting resulting in an investment, it's easy to want to cast the widest net as possible, but given that there are more than 500,000 investors in the US alone that have made angel investments recently, you can actually save yourself a lot of time and hassle if you focus on your initial efforts on the first 30 to 50 investors who are most likely to be a good fit for your company. And you can always expand that list later. So I started by going through the medtech section of AngelList to find other people who were invested in other medtech companies that weren't directly competitive with us. Then I took that list to other entrepreneurs and then asked them for their thoughts on who I should add or remove from that list. And based on their experiences, fellow entrepreneurs are really invaluable resources for helping you identify potentially interested investors and that are really not on your radar yet. And as well as, flagging investors who are known for being difficult to work with and who aren't actively investing. So from this process, I ended up with a list of about 40 investors who I thought, would be more beneficial to meet with. And then I entered all of them into a spreadsheet and included the firm when applicable, mutual connections, education investments, other relevant investments, location, and any side notes that I wanted to remember. As an example, he has like 2 kids in high school. So number 3, comb your networks. Because investors receive so many pitches, they often highly favor companies that are introduced by a common contact. Think about how much stronger an applicant is to your company if he or she is referred to by a current employee. So once you have a list of investors you'd like to meet with, go through person by person and then see if you have any mutual acquaintances. If so, that's great. But before you ask your contacts for an introduction, get together with them first so you can show them how awesome your company is. And then ideally, your common connection should feel like he or she is doing you a favor for both of you and the investor by making that intro. Just as an example, when we were fundraising, when someone agreed to make an introduction, I would send them 3 to 4 sentence pitch about our company so that he or she could include it in the initial introduction email. And then I would watch closely for an intro so that I could follow up as quickly as possible. That leads to number 4, thoughtfully craft your own introduction. And of course, there will likely be some investors that you cannot find an introduction to. So when this is the case, you simply need to be more thoughtful and selective about who you reach out to. So crafting emails that prove that you're not just sending out hundreds of cold emails to investors. So just as an example email that we would always send out, I'd say, I don't usually send out cold emails, but between your investment with company A and your involvement with project B, I couldn't help but reach out and introduce myself. So when we were fundraising, I had a good response rate from the investors that I reached out to using that template, even to cold emails. So that's because I didn't reach out to too many. And then when I did, I had a very specific reason why I thought that they would be interested in. Number 5, give investors a reason to reach out to you. As much as your company wants to find great investors, investors also want to find great companies. So meaning that means that the courtship basically goes both ways. So make sure that you spend some time putting yourself out there, and even if your product isn't live, you can still generate attention for your team and your mission through thought leaderships. Now I want to address something. Even with the best fundraising tactics, you need to be prepared to get turned down by investors and sometimes not even hear back from them. Don't let that get you down though. And also, don't be afraid to be diligent about following up in a professional manner. So if you don't hear back in a week, just send a quick follow-up. After that, continue following up. And then if and when you have some news to share, like product launches, key metrics that you hit, or a commitment from a notable investor, and this also applies to investors that you met with but haven't heard from since. So you're going to hear a lot of no's, but that just makes that first time that you hear a yes that much more exciting. So thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, then you'll probably enjoy these videos on this channel. So make sure to check them out and consider subscribing so that you can get the latest videos on building your startup.